What's going on, YouTube? Making this video about it's about men's rights. I checked out Tommy Sotomayor on the Dave Rubin report, and he's talking about men's rights and talking the old cliche that he doesn't think it's fair that men get put in jail for not paying child support. Blah 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 blah. Like I said in the earlier videos that I've come out with, I'm an old head. I'm over 50 years old, so I've got a little different take on shit, a little different experiences than most of these young bucks on Twitter. I'm going to say something right now that Tommy doesn't know, is it wasn't always like this. Because when my mom and dad got divorced, my old man didn't pay shit and got away with it. Relatively easy. He got away with it relatively easy. And my mom even finally was able to pull him in the court in the early 80s. And the judge looked at my mom and said, I'm not going to garnish his wages when you have a job. If you can't make ends meet, get another job. Now, you talk about playing the system, and I don't know if skin color had anything to do with it. I don't fucking know. It sounds like fucking white privilege to me. Because he got away with it. He got away with it all the way up until I was 18, and the only way my mom got her money back was when he sued her for the equity of the house. And by that time, things had started to shift, where the judge in the case is like, oh, wait a minute. You never paid child support all these years and you think you're getting half of the house? No. So, it wasn't always like that. Another thing I want to bring up that Tommy touched on is this fucking bullshit that LBJ started the fucking welfare state with the Great Society. Now, you can go back even further than FDR, because back in the turn of the century in the United States, there was something called the mother's pension. Now, the first state that enacted this law was Illinois, and I think it was 1911. I think they started talking about it in 1909, but they actually enacted laws in 1911. And some like 40 states had something called the mother's pension to help out mothers with children that didn't have an adult male figure in the house. Now, this is 1911. So obviously, this has been a problem way before FDR and way before LBJ. And oh, by the way, if you do some digging into the history of mothers' pensions, you realize it was made for white people. It was very, very racist. It was up to the states. It wasn't a federal program. And it was who the states decided who was worthy to get it. And it was overwhelmingly the majority were white people. And if you go back and look at the history of welfare, welfare was created for white people. It wasn't created for black people. Sorry, it just wasn't. If you look at the history, you can see it. Okay? So, we've got welfare, we've got mother's pension that was created in the turn of the century. Now, when Roosevelt was president back then, he didn't want to do this because he wanted private charities to take care of this. But eventually, the states stepped in and started giving these mothers aid. Now, the underlying theory at the time was it was better for the society and better for the country to have these kids at home with their mother than having the mother have to go out to work and leave the kids to their own devices. That was the theory at the time. So women getting welfare for having fatherless households predates LBJ by years and years and years. Okay? Get that. Let's just cut through the bullshit about that shit. Yeah, I'm not even going to go into LBJ. Whatever. A lot of things he did. He pulled a lot of old people out of poverty. That's a different story. But that's another point that's the point I want to talk about when Tommy Sotomayor is talking about fatherless families. Another thing I want to bring up about fatherless families. This is not an African American problem. Yes, like 73 or 74% of black households have fatherless children. It's a high number, it's bad. But 38% of white households are fatherless. Now, why do you think when they bring up the 74% of black households being fatherless, why do you think they phrase it like that? Because if you look at the actual numbers, there's more white households, there's more white fatherless children than there is black, by a large margin. The latest figures I looked up on the internet through kidscount.org, I think is the name of the website. There's like over 9 million fatherless white children compared to 6 million fatherless black children. So that's why they quote or phrase it the way they do with the 74% number. Because if they just said raw numbers, it would show that there's more white fatherless children. That's not debatable. That's not even a debatable issue. Another issue I'm going to talk about is I'm tired of women being blamed for the fatherless household. These women are not cum stealers. They're not stealing this men's cum. It takes two to tango. Okay? So maybe, and this is not a black-white thing. I know tons of fucking white dudes that do this. I know tons of white dudes that have 2 or 3 kids with different mothers. That's not a black thing. Okay? But I've never understood why dudes get a pass and women get shit on for this shit. It takes two to tango. If you quit raw dogging these women, it's simple as that. Use a fucking condom. There's no excuse for not wearing a fucking condom in 2017. Period. But these dudes want to raw dog these chicks, and then they complain about having to fucking pay child support. Well, you're fucking responsible. Personal responsibility. That's what I hear fucking hoteps talk about all the time. Gotta have personal responsibility, but it's all the woman's fault because she got fucking pregnant. Well, you know what? The fucking dude, just as much to fucking blame. So I don't know what to say about that shit. I mean, come on, man. Let's get fucking real. If you're gonna play the personal responsibility angle, play it all the way. That's all I gotta say about this. Peace.